Hey guys, welcome back to Leader Roots Podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Smallwood, where we talk about leadership and how to be a good human resource. In today's topics, we're going to talk about excuses. You know, we all have them. If they're not handy, we'll sure find them. Excuses for why we wouldn't, why we shouldn't, why we couldn't do what needs to be done. Well, in today's episode, we're going to talk about some of these excuses and how to help make them go away. There's a lot of reasons that we use for not getting farther ahead in life. I've had a few myself. First, it was my neighborhood I grew up in. Then it was slow promotions in the Navy. Then it was being married to the wrong woman, and then the economy, and then the company, and then my education level, and the last was the government. The person in the White House for the reason I can't seem to get ahead. Though that sounds silly. But the big problem for all my excuses is that my name was not on the list. My personal decisions were not listed. If my excuses had been a showstopper, then other people with the same outside influences would have been stopped as well. You know, as a late bloomer, I'm learning that those outside influences may slow you down, but they can't stop you. Only you can do that. I'm learning that while working on all of my excuses, I should have been working on me. You know, I recently heard someone ask the question, well, how tall will a tree grow? Well, as nature has its way, the tree will grow as tall as it can. I'm learning that it doesn't matter where you start, where the family you grew up in, the conditions of the ground where your first seeds were planted. Because you can start with any beginning and still grow as tall as you can. The trick is not to compare yourself with those who are growing alongside of you. Nothing in nature compares itself to the growth of another, and humans shouldn't either. It stopped. But we do, don't we? And that's when our growth is stunted. Well, you know what? We fail to grow as tall as we can because we get so distracted by focusing on accomplishments of others. Sometimes that we fail to nourish the roots that feed our own potential. You know, nothing in nature points to their excuses for a reason they can't grow. They just start from what they have and they do the best they can. And so should we. Thanks for joining me on this episode, and we'll see you next time.